All right. So to begin with, um, the main thing about mods is that you want your the speed secondary is the most important mod you can get, and that's regardless of any of the sets. So a lot of people don't understand like exactly how to get them. So it's not that obvious at first glance. So mods, they come in different kinds of colors, right? You have your white common mods, and then you have the green, blue, purple, and the gold ones. And so with these mods, um, when they start at the certain level, if they're level one mods and they have blue, you'll see that they have two stats already that are already there. And when you level that one up, you'll get an increase of those two stats until you get to the next threshold, which is would be like level 9, right? Because it's every 3 levels you get a new stat. So that means for a blue mod, you have two chances to increase one of the stats that are already there. So what you want to look for when you're farming mods or buying mods through the mod shipments are basically any mod that has speed already on it. That's whether it's a green color, um, whether it's a blue, purple, or a gold one, which is the best. Okay. And you have to keep in mind that you don't want a really terrible mod for certain slots, like your cross slot or your triangle slot. Those you have to have great stats on them. So, that you have to have a great primary thing, right? So for the triangle, you want either protection or critical chance, offense. You don't want things like defense in that spot because it's pretty useless. And the same for the cross, right? You need either like potency, something good. So those are the ones you would get. If it says like defense, or health in the cross, it's not as useful. So you have to kind of make a decision whether you want to buy that mod or not. Of course, when you're farming mods, you just take them right as they come. So the main thing is when you're farming mods, they'll just come. You'll get ones with speed secondaries. As you level them up, they'll get better. But when buying mods from the store, you basically have to pick and choose which ones you actually want to buy and which ones you don't. All right. And then after that, I'm just going to go into like kind of the general sets you want to use for different characters, right? So for any damage character, like an attacker, you basically want critical damage set and or critical chance set. That's basically still the best for those guys. So you have to build up your kind of Jawa team for the critical damage set. And then you have to build, I believe it's the rebel or scoundrels for 5 scoundrels to get critical chance set. So those combo great together for any attacker like Wedge, Biggs, Lando, right? Boba Fett, etc. Anyone that does damage, those are the ones you want. Of course, with the speed secondaries on top. For other characters, you basically, I would say, if you don't know exactly what this character needs in terms of like, say like Nihilus, okay, he doesn't do a lot of damage really. He's waiting to annihilate people. So you don't really need a critical damage, critical chance type of stuff on Nihilus, right? So you can really put any set on Nihilus that has the best speed secondaries to make him faster. And this applies for any character in that category. And you should also use a speed set because that will give you an additional bonus to something that you want anyway. So a lot of these characters don't specifically need to do a lot of damage or even take a lot of you can use the speed set as a nice alternative. You just make them faster. Like that's always going to be better for if they're not based on damage. Even tanks, you could put speed set on tanks to make them a little bit faster so they can, do their thing a little bit faster. So for example, I'm going to plan to put speed set on General Kenobi when we all get him, right? So he will be faster. He'll do his special sooner. Mods really, so long as you understand how they work and how to get the speed secondary, it's just a matter of farming them over a long period of time. Now through the store, the cost of refreshing, it's only 15 crystals. So a lot of times it's worth it in a day to, even if you refresh it 4 times, that's only 60 crystals. It's not that expensive. So, 120 crystals, you'd be refreshing it 8 times a day and you'd have really good chances to see more mods that could have those speed secondaries from the store. I think it's pretty obvious, like in terms of slots, which ones you want to use, right? So if it's the circle slot, pretty much everybody wants protection. Like there's very little use of even health. There's really not much that use for health, so those don't matter. But those are the easiest ones to get speed secondaries. So I was saying earlier that the first kind of mods you'll start getting that have good speed secondaries, that's anything greater than like 7 or 8. Anything better than 7 or 8, like a 9, that's a really good speed secondary mod. So basically anything that's over 8 is considered pretty good. So first you're probably going to get them in the circle and the square category because those are fixed. So you want all of those mods that have the speed secondary. The other ones are a little bit harder to get in terms of the right match of the primary bonus and the speed secondary, right? So it's a little bit more rare. And also the arrow, that's the one everybody needs. You can assume that every character wants to use a speed arrow except for maybe B2, he can use accuracy. But almost every other character, to make them the best that they can be, you need to put a speed arrow on them. Yeah, I mean that pretty much covers it. It's really, so long as you understand how it works and how to get a speed secondary. All right, just like Christmas, why don't you go first?
Yeah, this is JLC. Question is, for the mod challenge for speed, what is the minimum level you need to have your resistance squad up in order to 3-star that?
Okay, that's a good question. Okay, you do need a few powerful characters, right? Like Ray. So Ray will basically carry you through it. I actually used my Gear 10, Gear 11 Ray. Everybody else, I'd say the Resistance pilot was Gear 8. Poe was Gear 8. And then the Trooper and Finn, they were both like level 60. I just got them up to the minimum to qualify and put as little gear as I can get away with giving them. And I just had to try a bunch of times. Eventually, you kind of get lucky and no one ever targets them, or like they'll target Ray and they'll target the Resistance pilot while they have, evasion or the foresight on. So eventually, because to get them, you still have to complete it. So as you're trying to get them, you're just gonna keep trying, right? To just beat it, and eventually it'll just happen because you only have to beat it once. Once you do, it's done forever. So I would say you don't really have to put too many resources into the other guys. Now you can take that team further, and that's kind of what the challenge does. Is it makes you bring them up to a certain point, and then if you want to, you can build up the rest of that team because you have all 5 of them already, and then say you'd have a nice resistance team. Okay.
All right. Next question.
All right. Who has a question? So Keen. Okay. Do you have a question?
No, I don't really have a question.
Okay.
I mean, I would, maybe some suggestions for newer people that I've kind of learned along the way was, and sometimes maybe not focus so much on the set as, like you said, as the primary and secondaries. Even if it's just health mods and that's all you could farm at the time, just farm the hell out of health. That's what I did for the longest time, and your primary and secondaries will come.
Yeah. So the speed secondaries, if you get good speed secondaries, they can be used on any character regardless of the set, really. Yeah. Especially just to fill in gaps, right? Like for other sets, you'll be able to just fill in like a 2-set health gap. And those are still useful because if they have like 15, 11, 12, 13, they'll still be, basically your best mods.
I agree.
Okay. Yes, it does matter. So exactly as Farth says. So the mod, the level of it, the dots of it, right? So for 5-dot mod, that has the maximum amount of bonus for the primary stat. So, and also for the secondary stat. So, in essence, you're judging all mods by the best standard. And then the next level down, like a 4-dot mod, usually they're not that good, but they can still be good if you have good speed secondaries on them. And also if their primary bonus is pretty good. So say for like a triangle that gives you crit percent chance. So a 5-dot mod would give you, I think it's 12%, and then a 4-dot mod would give you 10.5%. So it's not that big of a difference. And for something like speed, right? For critical chance. So if you have great speed secondary on a 4-dot mod, it's really good too. It's just it's limited, right? It cannot get that fast as a 5-dot mod, which is like the standard. So when you do the challenge, you also only get 3, 4, and 5. So the 3, like sometimes I can get a few good 3-dot mods, but the really only time you can get away with that in upper level play is if that's like say like it's the triangle, what is it, the diamond mod, the defense one, right? That one you can get away with because it's just defense. The difference between right, say 12% defense and 7.5% defense, you don't really feel that so much. But when it comes to a damage stat or protection like that, that'll be a huge difference.
I think one of the things I would add on that would be if you come across a speed mod in the store, even if it's a 3-dot, you might take a chance on it because you're still going to get decent speed on that, and it may not be a max speed, but it really could help you on certain tunes. But only, I would say probably only a speed though. Probably the only time I would buy one, a 3-dot.
Yeah, and like I said, in kind of the slot, right? Like the diamond slot would be ideal because you'd feel the least amount of impact for the other things. Like the offense one, you prefer not to have to use a 3 or a 4 offense one, unless it's for like a tank, right? So yeah, you could still get away with it. Yeah, basically you just have to have a few million on hand, maybe at least 5 million or so at a time on hand to just go through the store and buy out the mods that cost credits that are good. Okay, well, the speed set, you need resistance. The Jawas give you critical damage, which is one of the better sets in the game. It's not as necessary, but you basically want 2 types, right? You want critical damage and critical chance sets available to you, so you can build that character that has 216% crit damage, and those characters hit really, really hard. So when you put that on Wedge, right, or Biggs, their crits are just monstrous, and you have to have the critical damage set for that. And with that set, it also means you'll get better scores in Rancor and AAT raids because your guys will be just hitting for more damage. So for the Jawa investment, I think the only necessary Jawas to get to 7 stars are probably Jawa Engineer, then Chief Nebbit, and Dachja. The other 2, the Scavenger and the regular Jawa, you can leave them at 5 stars and just gear them up as much as you can to eventually pass the challenge. Probably around level 60 to 70 is all that they would need. Like they would need no more than level 70 to pass it. Less than that should be good enough. Because Dasha, he comes from the Galactic War Store, so he's really cheap to farm. And same thing for Nebbit, he comes from the Arena Store, so he's also not that expensive to farm. And then Jawa Engineer from the Guild Store, he doesn't show up all the time, so you don't really have, you just, if you see him there, you buy his shards. but you're not going to refresh to look for them or anything, right? You just generally, I think you can farm if you're doing 2 raids. You should be able to farm anywhere from 1 to 2 characters from the guild store at once. So usually 2.
Hey, Nocturne.
Yeah, I think he was answering a question for what mods need to be on TIE Fighter Pilot.
So for TIE Fighter Pilot, so I actually have mine with a speed set, but I really think you need either the crit chance, just like what Yoda says, crit chance in the triangle, or critical damage in the triangle. If he basically, he can hit really hard crits. He doesn't. I don't think he needs crit damage as much as crit chance. Crit chance, you want him to be above 50, but the higher you can get over 50 is always good. You can I have him just crit chance. He can do tons of damage in the like the phase 3 Rancor or phase 3 heroic, right? He's hitting for like 27k, and that's with 150% critical damage. So there's no critical damage at all. But you just need him to be fast, because he will just take lots of turns over and over. And that's the idea. And he's already fast, right? He's one of the fastest characters in the game. So he gets one of the best benefits from the speed set.
Hey, Nocturne, you mentioned you had a comment. Go ahead.
Okay. One thing I just wanted to bring up was the importance of the primaries, because there are some unique primaries that you can only get on specific mods. And really, that should be a critical factor when you decide what mods to purchase. For instance, your triangle is the only place that you can get you can get critical damage. So buying a triangle or protection for most characters is not a good investment. The 3 most critical mods are your arrow, your triangle, and your cross. And the reason why is your arrow, of course, is where you get your speed primaries. It's also where you can get critical avoidance, which is good for some tanks. Your triangle is where you can get critical damage or critical chance as a primary, which gives you much higher boosts of those stats than any secondaries you can get. The third thing is the crosses. The crosses are the only place that you can get a potency or a tenacity for the primary stat, and those are huge. A lot of the characters, especially if you're trying to get your potency up to a specific level, if you do not have a potency cross, you're going to have a very hard time hitting a high potency level, because you get so much more potency off that primary than you will off the entire rest of the set. So when you're deciding which mods to take, and which mods to invest in. A lot of mods, it's not a good idea to invest more than level 12. Okay, if you have a junk mod, all you want to do is get your stats to boost, and then you don't want to put the extra money into them. If you have a good mod, like a gold or a mod that starts as a gold or a purple or even a blue, a mod that has that critical speed secondary stat, those are the mods you want to invest your money into. And when you're buying mods, always make sure you get the right primaries. The first 3, the primaries, are more fixed. You have offense and defense for the square and the diamond. So those are fixed. Those don't change. The circle, basically, you're going to choose between either protection or health. Most characters, you'll always want protection unless it's a character that heals based on health. Any of your healers, you want to boost your health as much as possible. But whenever you're deciding which mods to use, make sure you look at those unique stats, because that's going to cater to your entire set going forward.
Yep, that's good advice. I like it.
I wanted to add something to that too. When you're looking at specific tunes, I just ask yourself, what do you want that tune to accomplish? For example, if I've got Royal Guard, what do I want Royal Guard to accomplish? I want him to stay alive as long as possible. And so I need to load him up with as much protection as possible. What do I want like an Anakin to accomplish? I want him to hit hard, so I want that critical damage on him, but I also want him to lay those debuffs. And so that's a tune that I really need potency on. If you don't need potency on somebody, if you have a tune that you don't have any debuffs that you're laying, then potency probably isn't priority for you. So just kind of think through what you want them to accomplish, and that will help you in knowing how to properly mod them. But again, like was aforementioned, it doesn't really matter who it is. You're going to want speed on everyone except for maybe a tank like a Royal Guard or a B2, where their speed is irrelevant. But other than that, speed's going to be on everyone. And critical chance or critical damage is probably going to be on just about everyone too.
Another thing you can do, by the way, is if you look at the descriptions on the 3 attacks for your character, a lot of the characters will have a specific effect. For instance, a buff will land if you crit. Okay, then you know that what you want that character to do is crit as often as possible. Some of the characters will, if you're having trouble landing your debuffs, you want to make sure you get potency. So if you look at what the attacks are of the character, then it's a lot easier to decide which sets are going to fit in. Characters that need to crit to give an effect, then maybe you want a little extra crit chance. A character that has no benefit, like the healers. Your healers always say they're going to heal a percentage of their health. So the more health they have, the more they heal other people. And it's all right there in the descriptions for their 3 attacks.
Well, I'll just open this up to free talk. I'm going to stop monologuing. Actually, I have to do my arena push right now. So,
anyone have any other general mod questions? If not, we can open the floor for just general questions, and anyone who wants to hit on it can.
Hey, sorry, this might have been covered, but how often should you be farming mods?
Man, I hate that question because I wrestle with that too. What do you think?
Everyone does.
Or anyone who wants to chime in on that.
Well,
guess,
how often to
okay.
farm mods? I basically farm mods in between farming characters. So if there's no character that I really want to farm right now, then I will essentially just farm mods for a while until you kind of decide on a character. Alternatively, you can spend 1 refresh on farming mods, and then another refresh on farming your character. You'll kind of get, at least some mod progression outside of just the store while you're farming your characters as well. Who, ultimately the characters are also very important, right? So you kind of got to make that decision.
Do you ever find that after selling mods, you get crappy mods when you are farming them?
I don't really find that personally. I don't know if there's a correlation there, Cypher, to be honest. But something I was going to say in deciding in weighing out the importance of farming mods versus farming characters, if you have enough characters at level 85, then you can use your credits almost exclusively for mods. Right now, I'm actually saving credits for the first time in a long time because I'm going to take General Kenobi straight to level 85 on Monday, which I'm not that excited about. It's all good. So I'm actually not using my credits for mods for the first time in a long time. Shut up, Nick. But if you are still leveling up, if you're a newer player, then would maybe table using credits for mods for now. And what I would weigh out is the importance of Cantina energy. What character do you need in Cantina right now? If you're just getting somebody because, I just farming them because, then it might not be worth your while to use your Cantina energy for that character, and you might want to use it exclusively for mods. Maybe there's somebody who you definitely need. And in that case, if you have enough mods, then I would suggest maybe that character would take precedence over mods, assuming that you have enough mods to get you by right at the moment. If you don't, that's when I would say you might want to split your energy between half mods, half whatever character you're farming. It's kind of a tough balance to find, but right now for me, apart from General Kenobi, who I'm about to take to level 85, I use my credits just exclusively for mods in that mod store, and I will only buy something that has speed secondary, period. I don't really make exceptions for that. And only credits. I never spend crystals on it because I think it's a total waste unless you're whaling it out. And then I don't have anybody in Cantina right now that I really need, so I only use my Cantina energy for mods at the moment.
The thing with mods is that when you have the best mods and also the best characters, you will be basically at the top of your arena shard, or pretty close to the top.
Well said.
I've got a comment on the farming versus the buying. I took about 2.5 months and didn't do anything but farm 5-star mods. And I bet I didn't get 5 mods in that time that had speed secondaries. Since then, I stopped buying them I stopped farming them and just started buying them in the shop. And I've used the refreshes a few times, and I've had much better success in getting any kind of speed secondaries. Just something to think about.
Yeah, and once you got all your primaries, I mean, really, you'll reach a point where, like right now for me, I've kept an eye out for the longest time for anything that has speed primary on the arrows, critical damage or critical chance on the triangles, and potency on the cross or tenacity, and I've got tons of those. So the only thing that I'm really looking for when I'm farming mods is speed secondary. You'll reach a point where anything that has a speed secondary when you buy it is going to be golden, because it's got a chance to boost up to, I've seen up towards 20 speed secondary, and that's the meta. That's what everybody needs, and that's not arguably the hardest thing in this game to get is a good set of mods that also has speed secondary. It takes forever, and it's extremely frustrating. And if I talk more about that, I'm going to start swearing, because it really does piss me off how long it takes to get speed secondary. So keep an eye out for anything with speed secondary.
Yeah, definitely. Even someone with like a plus 18 mod, I consider that like an awesome mod. My best speed secondary is only 15, so I don't have anything better than that. I just had an arena match where I used Nihilus lead and Dooku and a whole bunch of other guys, and it came down to Xylo versus Dooku, and Xylo killed 2 other characters already, but Dooku wore him down with his stuns and he killed him. Yeah, I actually thought I was going to lose because I had B2 Death Trooper and Dooku, but I had lost Nihilus because I think Xylo killed Nihilus too. And then he started picking off the other 2. And I thought I was going to lose because it was just him and Dooku, and he kept healing. But eventually Dooku just got a lot of stuns, and Xylo wasn't able to take any turns, and he just warmed up.
Well, the other thing about the mod promotions, basically when it comes to speed, your speed will start from an amount of 1 to 5, depending on the stars of the mod. A 5-star mod can have a speed, a starting speed of up to 6. After that, each one promotes at roughly a random value from 3 to 5 for a 5-star mod, 2 to 4 for a 4-star, 1 to 3 for a 3-star, etc. So you get 4 promotions. If you have a gold mod starting, any of the 4 stats have an equal chance of upgrading. So you could potentially upgrade speed 4 times in a row, 5 each, going up to, you know, a level of 26 or 27. It's statistically impossible. It will never happen. But where you start with the condition of the mod is going to depend on how big each promotion can be, and that's for each one of the secondary stats. So a gold mod is going to have higher potential than a purple, which is higher than a blue. But basically for speed, which is the most important, it typically goes in a potential upgrade of 5 per upgrade.
So if you want high speed mods, you want to look for the secondaries. The primaries are a bad choice, right?
Well, unless it's a speed primary, which will only occur on the arrow. The other nice thing about the primaries is primaries aren't random, meaning a 5-star primary will give you 30 speed if you promote it all the way. It will always give you 30 speed and it doesn't vary. But the only one that you can have speed on is the arrow. All the other ones have different primaries. So what you're looking for is the primary you want. For instance, if you got a cross, maybe you'll look for a potency or tenacity primary with a secondary of a speed. And then, of course, the third consideration is what is the starting quality of the mod. If it's a starting quality of a gray mod, you are only going to have the ability to improve the speed once. If it's a starting quality of a gold mod, you could potentially improve it 4 times. And improvements always come on the 4th level, the 8th level, the 10th level, and the 12th level. So if you want to see what the secondary values end up at, you can promote up to level 12 and then stop. Your secondaries aren't going to get any higher. If you got a good spade value on your secondary, then you want to promote it all the rest of the way and use that as a good mod. But if you promote it and you don't end up with a good mod by level 12, there's usually no reason to promote it the rest of the way up. You're just spending a lot of money for very little value.
Yeah, I can see that. Thank you.
Guys, I had another comment on speed mods. I actually had this happen to me today. I took a speed set off and put it on someone else, and the secondary speed, I took them off a TIE fighter pilot, and there were 96 secondary speed, and I put them on Darth Maul, and they went down to like 80 something. I couldn't figure out why. And then I realized that finally, after doing some research, that the 10% bonus speed that you get for a speed mod set is 10% of their starting speed. So since TIE fighter pilot starts at 170, you get a 17-point speed bump when you put them on him. But when you put them on Darth Maul, who's only got 100 speed, you only get a 10-point bump. So I was losing 7 speed by putting speed mods on a lower character.
Yeah, that's a great point. Definitely with the speed sets, it's important to know what the starting speed values are. You do not get as much of a boost if you put them on a low speed character. You're almost better to go with like a crit damage set or an offense set that just has good speed secondaries. I've heard that secondaries, speed secondaries max out at 25, 26, and 27. So as far as which one's actually true, I don't know, but it's somewhere between 25 and 27. However, I don't think anyone, they actually did a database search through the SWOGG, and nobody has ever gotten a perfect mod upgrade yet. So it's statistically impossible to ever hit those numbers. I think the highest I have is right around 20. And I've got quite a few mods. I've seen some in the 24 range, but I've never seen anything higher than that myself. Basically, if you get anything into the teens, it's a good mod. You know, if you get a 15 or a 16, it's a really excellent mod to have for a speed secondary.
Just doing a consensus, what is everyone farming for mods? I'm kind of talking about the set bonuses and whatnot.
I pretty much just farm speed when I can. I just go for speed set. I think it's great for any character other than DPS characters.
For me, for DPS characters, I usually farm the crit damage set with 2 crit chances. That's probably the most common one I use. I only put the speed sets on really fast characters that really get that extra boost. But probably the majority of stuff I'm always farming is crit damage.
And you guys always go for the mod challenge, or is there any chance do you go for the battles just to feel a set, or it's a bad idea? Do you ever go to the battle, the mod battle, or you only go to the challenges?
Oh, the actual mod battles. Yeah, after you unlock the challenges, you never go back to the mod battles because they only give you 1 and 2 star mods, and you only use those at low level.
No, got it. I thought, but because my level was too low, I only see that. But yeah, thank you.
Right. Yeah, there might be a minimum level challenges, but mod challenges, they only require 3 star to start farming mod challenges. Still, whenever you unlock and get 3 star health mod challenges in the very, you just need characters that are 3 stars. So any character, that should be no problem.
I just want to kind of reemphasize, especially, if you're new and you're still trying to get into the challenges, once you unlock like the health challenges, I would just sit in there and farm the hell out of health. Because even if you have a set of health and you get the right mods, the right sets, you get the critical chances, critical damage, you're gonna benefit so much more than sitting here trying to farm all these other characters to unlock speed. This comes back to me, it's always a game of inches. It takes time to get there. And if you try to unlock speed from the get-go, you're gonna fall so far behind. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm level 73, and I agree with that too. We just got a massive update with no patch notes. I'm just about that.
No, there were patch notes. They're in the forums. I read them earlier.
Yeah, but not in game.
Oh, in game they don't give you anything.
Do you guys think we're gonna get something good for the Galactic Republic tag? Like I've seen Jedi's and clones have, but we don't have any
Nothing
special
we know
abilities.
of as of right now, but it might change.
I just hope that it doesn't turn out like the Separatist tag. They added it and did nothing with that.
I was kind of wondering right now, I'm in that decision if I should go First Order or if I should go Resistance, because with the new movie coming out, I'm sure there's going to be a meta shift. Has anybody picked a direction on which way they're going with those?
R2 is going to be Resistance.
His resistance, he's everything
Yeah,
actually.
he's everything.